What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Scent Bubble. Doing a little bit of a different review here in the studio. I'm on my way to bed, but I wanted to knock out a review or two just to get in my reps for the day. We're going to be talking about this new discovery set I picked up from Jusbox. And on a different review, I'll touch on a little bit of house information, but I got this like 15 ml, I believe, travel set from the brand. Today we're going to be talking about a fragrance known as Beat Café. And I'm going to give you guys some brief thoughts on this fragrance. Let me pull up the notes so I at least have some information for you guys. And let's go ahead and dive into the fragrance. Hopefully you guys are doing good out there. I'm doing well myself. Let's put some sprays on the body, sprays on the strip per usual. And this is classified as I believe the scent came out in 2016. It is classified as a unisex oriental-woody fragrance with a 3.9 out of 5. So almost a gotta get your nose on it score as far as I'm concerned. Definitely not mass appealing. And it looks quite masculine, despite the fact that they say it's unisex. Perhaps that's just marketing. Perhaps they're accurate. Let's see what we got here. I'm told that Beat Café is one of the more popular scents from the house. So immediately in the air, I think about two fragrances in particular. Let me actually grab one of them for you. So in the air, this immediately is very within a 90% range of a couple of fragrances. First one being Papilla Fico from Nichane. Smells very close to that. However, it's got a bit of more of a stank on it, more of a oud touch. That oud push takes me into another direction. I believe the fragrance I'm thinking of is Halfeti from Penhaligon's. It has a rich, oudy undertone. It's a very savory fragrance, if that makes sense. Sometimes I like to say ambery if it's warm and sweet, but if it's just warm with not a lot of sweetness, I tend to say savory, salty even. But yeah, the opening at first felt very Papilla Fico. Dry down feels very much Halfeti. And on skin, that savory sweetness kind of dies into this dark, earthy depth. I imagine this fragrance definitely has tons of oud, tons of maybe tobacco and stuff like that. It's very jazzy. Think jazz club with no sweetness at all. It's just kind of got this 1 or 2 out of 10 level of sweetness trapped behind a massive truckload of oud and patchouli and earthiness. Perhaps even a chocolate note. It's got a very kind of chocolate with zero sweetness in it kind of vibe in terms of the weight. It's a middleweight fragrance, fall, winter, dark nights, cold weather, indoor dark vibes. And it feels extremely masculine. Ladies, don't step near this fragrance. I don't even think a woman of artsiness or eclectic, anything like that. I don't think even a woman who finds herself gravitating towards challenging scents, I think this is extremely masculine. But yeah, opening, Papilla Fico, dry down Halfeti. And even Halfeti maintains a certain level of savory sweetness, whereas this dries down to a very almost dark, earthy, grassy, oudy thing. Let's check out the notes real quick. Definitely put this on skin. Never try this on a test strip. You'll get a completely different vibe. Top notes, cognac, black pepper, and coriander. Coriander, I can see the cognac has zero sweetness in it. Think a sugarless cognac. It's more of a dark liquor soaked feel. Black pepper, it's not very spicy to me. Middle notes, tobacco, leather, and labdanum. Base notes, cedar, benzoin, vetiver. So I'm getting a lot of that sugarless cognac, heavy coriander, tobacco leaves, like tobacco leaves on a slightly moist bed of soil. Okay, here we go. Here's the picture. So there's a bunch of grass pulled up out of the ground. So you just kind of have this dark, damp soil. And it's a hazy night, maybe like 8 or 9 p.m. It's a little bit foggy out, kind of got this dark, earthy soil. And you sprinkled pipe tobacco onto the ground. And then you just put, you know how they say pouring one out for the homies with the alcohol? You took some sugar-free cognac that's not sweet at all. It's more savory and rich and dark liquid. And you just kind of splashed it on that soil. And you put your nose like 2 feet above it. You get the fogginess that kind of represents, I'm surprised there's no oud in this. It feels very oudish. Perhaps it's just that leather liquor tobacco feel. It's kind of got this damp cigarness about it. But yeah, you just sprinkled some pipe tobacco on the ground, poured a little booze on it real quick, but you're mostly smelling that rich, dark depth of the earth and the liquor soaked into the ground type of feel. This is a scent for an occasion. You know, you're hanging out with the boys, cigar lounge, hookah lounge, billiards. Maybe you're just by yourself at night and you're trying to figure out what to do for the day, chilling at home, reading a book, looking through your texts and emails before you go to bed, but you're still energized a little bit. You're trying to take the next couple of hours to wind down. It's a very top hatty type of scent, but it doesn't feel old and historic. It just feels aged, feels barrel aged in a very modern way, yet challenging way. I think this is a niche of a niche of a niche within this space. If you're intimidated by fragrances like Halfeti, Pablo Fico, Oud for Greatness, Javoy Psychedelic, these rich, deep, dark, patchouli-ish, cedarish scents. Again, what's weird about this is you'd think with the booze, you would get this intrigue toward it, because that's really, if you saw all of these notes, tobacco, labdanum, cedar, all that, coriander, you wouldn't really be drawn to a fragrance like this. I think the booze note for most people of cognac makes you wonder what it could be like. But I can tell you that the cognac is so different than how cognac is treated. Like, imagine a fragrance like Angel Share. This is nothing like the cognac in Angel Share. This is very much stripped of all of its sweetness, savory, dark, earthy, rich, soily, woody, extremely woody. The tobacco, it's not really there for me. In the opening it is, but the dry down just feels more like a dark, soily cedar with that booze splashed on it and some old, pipe tobacco, some dark, leathery pipe tobacco laying on the ground, just small portions of it. That only feels about 30% of the fragrance. As a scent, challenging meter is a 10 for sure. But as a rating, it's weird because my taste leans it on a 6 or a 7 out of 10. But I feel like due to how close it is to two of some of my favorite scents, I mean, I have Halfeti, love it. I love Pablo Fico more. I just feel like it's always been more mass appealing of a profile. Despite it being so close to those, what this dries down to just feels so challenging. I feel like it's for a very particular group of people, and even for those particular people, I think Halfeti stands out more as a signature scent. Pablo Fico feels like it stands out as the more mass appealing scent profile of the three, but even those two are better than this. But I think for people who are into this style, you might be able to squeeze a high 8 out of 10 out of it. Part of me wants to give it an 8 just because it's a very sophisticated, well-blended scent. But in terms of just the smell, the wow factor, the experience of it, I rate it more around average. I'm actually going to give it a 7 out of 10. Definitely get your nose on it. Masculine, not feminine. Ignore the unisex. The price on this, somewhere between 100 and 200 bucks, I believe, on discounters. I'm sure it retails closer to 2, but you could probably wiggle 100 to 200 somewhere in that range. Yeah, I gave you guys the occasions for it. It definitely feels like a fall winter scent. I think this fragrance would totally benefit from a breeze. If it's not cold out or windy out, don't wear a fragrance like this. And if you don't even like the idea of like a psychedelic or a Pablo Fico or Halfetti, definitely stay away from this fragrance. I said oud for greatness earlier, I believe, as a reference, but this is way more challenging than that. So this is for like your amouage level connoisseurs, the people who like certain Xerjoffs that are off the beaten path, like Dawn and stuff like that. But it's definitely very intriguing. But 7 out of 10 for me for this fragrance. Again, this was Beat Café from Jusbox, and it was all right. But despite how good it's blended, the actual after smell and the dry down, I think will do different stuff on everybody's skin. Again, it is really good in the opening, but even in the opening, I only give it like a 8.5 type of score. The dry down is less mass appeal-y and more particular, and the type of occasions I would even dare to wear this fragrance in is not in my lifestyle currently. So for me, it's a bit much, and I tend to want something a little bit sweeter, less dark, less mysterious. But they're on to something with this. But Halfetti and Pablo Fico took this idea and made it extremely palatable. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and until next time, peace.